In the previous episode, a powerful creature resembling a dragon hatched from the bluebird's egg. As Ronan wondered how such a thing came out of it, his sister visited the capital city. Ronan took her shopping at an expensive store to repay her for all that she had done for him. But unexpectedly, the future sword saint Schlieffen fell in love with his sister. The next day, at Fitleon Academy's entrance ceremony, all the freshmen gathered. The headmaster announced that the freshmen would carry out a one-on-one spar with their seniors as a welcoming ceremony. But to everyone's surprise, Ronan requested to fight all 4 of the seniors at the same time. The 4 senior students were pissed, but they were not stupid. They charged at him with full strength without underestimating him, but Ronan was faster. He quickly overpowered them and ended the fight by imitating the same sword move that instructor Nabiros used on him. That move shattered Brahm's sword, ensuring Ronan's victory. Seeing the result of that duel, everyone in the stadium went silent in awe of Ronan's strength. As the cheers for Ronan could be heard all over, the seniors acknowledged his strength and wondered where such a monster came from. After that, Ronan came up to the seniors. He politely said, and I quote, "I learned a lot thanks to you. Your strength is unimaginable. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for accepting my challenge." Everyone was shocked by his polite behavior. Even Maria and Estelle thought that he had eaten something bad. His politeness won over the seniors. Brahm told him that he didn't need to be so humble. He took Ronan's hand and announced him as a true Fitleon student. His sister teared up seeing how much her brother had grown. But unbeknownst to her, showing off his social skills was Ronan's goal all along. He didn't mean any of it. That night, the academy held a banquet. Ronan was surprised at how grand it was. As he was chatting with Maria and Estelle, he told them that he had sent off his sister. And as a bodyguard, he even sent Sita to accompany her. Estelle told him that he was an amazing brother. Ronan said, "Of course." Then as he was about to eat his chicken, Schlieffen came up behind him. He asked him how he could even eat in that situation. Ronan was annoyed. He put down his chicken and asked Schlieffen what he wanted. Schlieffen told him he had something important to ask. He asked Ronan, and I quote, "Where does Ariel live, and is it far from here? How are the road conditions? Is the security good? Are there frequent bandit incidents? I assume that you employed escorts. I trust that you deployed at least a mercenary army to escort her." Hearing that, Ronan was annoyed even more. He said, and I quote, "I did, you bastard. And they are much stronger guys than you too. Unless a wyvern appears out of nowhere, nothing will happen, so stop." Hearing that, Schlieffen said, and I quote, "So they'll die if a wyvern were to appear? That's terrible." Ronan had enough. He angrily asked Schlieffen why he cared so much about his sister when he wasn't even her husband. Schlieffen made up excuses saying that he simply worried about a lady who happened to be acquainted with him and it was the duty of a knight. At that moment, a girl escorted by multiple students approached them. She said, "Oh, I've never seen Grancia's wolf so chatty before." To that, Schlieffen replied by asking what business she had with him. Her name was Elizabeth Akalushia, and she happened to be the top freshman student from the magic department. She told Schlieffen that he was mistaken. The person she was interested in at that moment was not him but Ronan. Hearing that, Ronan was surprised and Schlieffen told her to do what she wanted. As he was about to leave, he suddenly stopped and said that he should send a guard soldier from the Grancia family to protect Ariel. Ronan told him to screw off. After that, Estelle came up to Ronan and explained how powerful Akalushia was. In the spar of the magic department, she crushed her opponent with overwhelming strength. Akalushia said, "Those who bear their fangs should be taught a lesson. I'm sure you know what I mean." Ronan said that he didn't know and asked her why she wanted to see him. She said, and I quote, "Oh, I was very impressed by your talent. So, I'm here to make you an offer. A very special offer that a mere commoner could never dream of." The thing that she offered was the Akalushia family's invitation. The Akalushia noble family was different from other noble houses as they prioritized talent over anything else. They have debuted many talented individuals and thereby secured their position as one of the top pillars of the empire. They offer an opportunity to those who display the potential to become a part of their family. And that was the symbol of that opportunity, an invitation to the Akalushia family. Ronan asked her if she was allowed to just give that out to people. Akalushia said that if he was asking that question, then he must know what that meant. In his previous life, Ronan heard directly from his commander about the invitation of Akalushia. Her name was Audeshan Akalushia. She told him that after he had paid for his sins through his accomplishments in war, he may receive an invitation himself, because she thought that he was talented. Coming back to the present, Elizabeth Akalushia told him to make a wise choice. She said, and I quote, Even if you're born a beast, if you mingle among sheep for too long, you'll become just like them. After saying that, she left. Ronan was glad that he had a method of contact with the Akalisha family because they would be very helpful for his plans. Phil-Leon Academy prioritized a student's ability over anything else. Depending on one's grade, their environment could change greatly. The most representative example of that was the dormitory system. The students who achieved good results are assigned to the Naria Hall. In that hall, each person was assigned a clean room, there was a high-grade cafeteria and more. It was a pretty nice dormitory with all the things you would need. On the other hand, the students who made up the bottom 30% were assigned to the Courtier Hall. The first day at Courtier Hall usually starts with screaming. The students of noble backgrounds would always complain. However, the Academy Guide told them that there were no employees in service at the Courtier Hall. Rooms were to be shared between 4 people. The cafeteria, showers, and even the bathrooms were to all be shared. The guide told them that there was no point in screaming at him. If they didn't follow the Academy rules, they would have to stay at the Courtier Hall the next semester too. And then lastly, the top 10% of the students, including Ronan, were assigned to the Naberdozer Hall. Ronan described the impression of that place perfectly. This place is sick as hell. He was surprised at how amazing that place was considering it was a student dormitory. Then he came across the class registration. Students were required to write down the classes they wanted. Since it was only the first semester, he should only choose a few classes to get adjusted. But Ronan chose more than just a few, he chose almost all of them. He was excited about the classes at the academy. But the next day, the instructor from Empire's Swordsmanship Basics class told him that he no longer had to take that class. Ronan was confused. He told him that they had only begun and asked what he meant. The instructor told him, and I quote, "Buddy, that's what I want to say. We've only just begun, but you've already performed all the basics of the Empire's swordsmanship techniques." The rules of the academy were to let students leave the class once they had learned everything in the syllabus. If they let him stay, it would only demotivate other students. With that said, the instructor wished him the best of luck and advised him to move forward. That afternoon, Ronan was sitting at the side of a lake, depressed and annoyed. Because not just the Empire's swordsmanship class, but the bowmanship and monster hunting, they all kicked him out. At that moment, Instructor Nabiros approached him. At a glance, she could tell that he had finished all the beginner classes. Ronan told her she was right and asked if all the classes were going to be like that. He said, and I quote, "I thought Phil-Leon would be much better than that." Nabiros thought to herself that much was expected. Ronan copied her technique with a single look. So first-year classes were nothing to him. She told Ronan that she couldn't turn a blind eye as a Phil-Leon instructor and asked for his sword. As she took his sword, she said she would teach him a very important lesson. When Ronan asked her why she took his sword, an explosion occurred behind him. It was the sword aura she shot with his sword. Ronan was already shocked, but Nabiros said, and I quote, "Oh, I guess that's all this chunk of metal can do. Something like this cannot be called a weapon. It'll only wear down the owner's power. Now watch closely." After saying that, Nabiros unsheathed her katana. As she swung her blade, a great wave passed by Ronan. The wave contained an incredible amount of aura. It pierced through the lake and caused a rain shower. Then she asked him, "Do you get it now, Ronan? Do you get what you're lacking?" A weapon is a piece of steel that's sturdy and sharp, which is used to fight against one's opponents. It shouldn't break when wielded, and even if it does, one could just obtain a new one. It was an expandable item, is what Ronan thought until he saw that. Even a regressor like him was shocked to see how much of a difference a weapon could make. Nabiros told him, and I quote, "On a battlefield that has one's life on the line, efficiently using one's strength will determine one's life. And if you're using mana, then you need to find a weapon that suits you. But you don't know how to use mana yet." It turns out that even though Ronan was stronger than most swordsmen, he still couldn't use mana. But the fact that he had that much energy without aura meant he could use aura one day. But in order to use that power, she advised him to get a proper weapon of his own. Then she told him to attend her class, and getting a proper weapon was the condition for him to attend her class. A few days after that, on his day off, Ronan went out with Estelle and Maria to the forge recommended by Schlieffen. Maria said the forge looked really shabby, as if it could collapse with a touch. She doubted if they had come to the right place. As Ronan and the gang entered the old and dirty forge, they were greeted by a wolf beast man. He was annoyed and told them to leave. So, Ronan showed him the symbol of the Grancia family and said that Schlieffen recommended them. As the wolf glanced at them, he could see impressive mana coming from Estelle and Maria, but nothing on Ronan. So he told them, and I quote, "So what? Are you a Grancia? We don't accept customers like you." Ronan still refused to leave. So, the wolf said, there is still a way. If you give me the arm of that soft-looking bastard, then maybe I'll think about it. I was hungry, so would you be so kind as to do so? Asel screamed that he tasted disgusting. And Ronan was pissed. He told him that he crossed the line. Then he took out his sword and hit him in the stomach. It sent him flying, but the wolf was wearing invisible armor. Though it didn't matter to Ronan, he just needed to destroy it. Finally, the wolf beast man surrendered and told him that it was all just a test. To verify the skills of people they've never met before, it was protocol to test them. Ronan said that his excuse was an original one. But the wolf told him that it was his fault for going overboard and apologized to Asel. Then he formally introduced himself as Didikan, an apprentice at that forge and sometimes the gatekeeper. Since Ronan was there for a weapon, Didikan told them to follow him. That shabby place was just the entrance to their forge. When they came to the back room, Didikan revealed that it was an elevator, made from a magic stone and a pulley. As they went down, they could see the largest and greatest forge in the country, the Grand Cappadocia. In the huge forge underneath the capital, all skilled master craftsmen gathered without discrimination and supplied weapons only to the royal family and the nobles. But the greatest craftsman among them was the elder dwarf that lived in that building. They called him Elder Daron. Didikan explained to the elder that Ronan was here for a sword and that he had great sword skills. Daron came close and told Ronan to show him his skills because he could tell a lot just by looking. Ronan agreed, and as he took out his sword, the elder looked at it. He immediately broke it in half with his hammer while calling it rubbish. He was surprised that Ronan was carrying rubbish that whole time. Ronan was angry, but Daron told him to pick any sword he liked from the pile beside him. And he would even give him the sword he picked. Since he insisted, Ronan picked a decent-looking sword. He didn't think much would change, but upon holding it he felt that the vibe was different. The elder dwarf told him to put his all into a swing and show him, but the only thing that crossed his mind was Instructor Nabiro's sword-slash technique. He imitated her move once again and swung his sword. Right then, a huge explosion took place. The bystanders witnessing it thought a furnace exploded. As the smoke cleared, everyone's astonished faces could be seen. The swing caused a lot of destruction. Seeing that, Daron knew that it was Nabiro's technique. He asked him if he was her apprentice. Hearing that, Ronan asked him if he knew her. Daron said, and I quote, "Of course I do. I'm the one who made her sword. The secret sword, Yarusa. It's one of the few masterpieces that I forged throughout my life." Daron complimented him, saying that at first, he thought he was a newbie, but it had been a while since he had seen such a talent. But it was also a problem if he was too talented. To make a sword durable enough to withstand his strength would be difficult. So he would need to use the highest grade steel and melt it with a special material. He required at least a byproduct of a wyvern. Then Ronan showed him something he had. It was Sita's eggshell. A while later, Daron was in disbelief. His mithril hammer couldn't make a dent. He was overjoyed with excitement and asked Ronan if he was allowed to smelt such a wonderful material. Ronan said that it was useless to him and asked if it was enough to make him a sword. Daron said, and I quote, "Of course, come back in 2 weeks. I'll make the Empire's best sword. And you two over there, since you're here, go meet the other masters. I can't send back the friends of a valuable person empty-handed, right? If you tell them you visited upon my referral, they'll look after you. I want to take care of you too, but right now, except for resmelting this, I can't do anything else." At the same time, deep inside the caves of the forge, 2 suspicious figures arrived. As they came across giant stone statues, they said, and I quote, "The day that everything disappears and is buried in light is coming." And that is all for now. The title of this manhwa is in the description. I will upload the next video in a few days. So, if you don't want to miss that, then subscribe. Like the video if you liked it, press that dislike button twice if you didn't like it, and thanks for all the support.